Ezine stood at the altar of St. Mary's Cathedral, her white gown soaked in sweat, and something far more sinister, blood. The congregation gasped as she clutched her chest, her eyes wide with terror, whispering, "Not again! Please, God, not again!" Her groom Chike reached out, his face a mask of raw agony, tears streaming down his cheeks as he screamed her name. The world blurred around them, the scent of incense mixing with the metallic tang of death, the distant honk of okadas on the oil-slicked roads outside, and the collective heartbeat of 200 guests pounding like war drums. Was this a curse, a poison, or something unimaginable that defied the laws of life itself? Ezine collapsed, her body convulsing in the final throes, dying for the sixth time right before their eyes. But why? The answer would unravel everything you thought you knew about love, fate, and the human soul, leaving you questioning your own reality forever. If this opening has you on the edge of your seat, heart racing with curiosity about what could possibly cause a bride to die six times, hit that subscribe button now for more gripping tales that blend Nigerian culture with mind bending mysteries. Don't miss out. Subscribe today. And hey, to dive deeper, drop a comment below. What do you think is killing Ezine? A family secret, a supernatural force, or something else? Your theories might just inspire the next twist. Now, let's unravel the story in its full epic glory. Port Harcourt, the Garden City of Nigeria, pulsed with life under the relentless equatorial sun. The year was 2024, and the city was a mosaic of contrasts. Gleaming skyscrapers in the government reserved area, GRA, towering over the chaotic markets of Diobu, where vendors hawked everything from fresh catfish pulled from the polluted creeks to knockoff designer bags smuggled across borders. Oil money flowed like the Niger River itself, fueling dreams and despair in equal measure. Amid this vibrant chaos lived Ezine Okoro, a 28-year-old software engineer whose days were spent in the air-conditioned offices of Shell Nigeria, debugging code that monitored offshore rigs. Her life was a careful balance of ambition and tradition. Her apartment in Rumwibekwe, a sanctuary filled with laptops, African art prints, and the faint aroma of her mother's homemade palm oil stew. Ezini's story began not with death, but with love. A love that bloomed unexpectedly at a tech summit in the Eco Atlantic City, Lagos. Chiken Wosu, 30, was a civil engineer specializing in bridge constructions for the Rivers State government. He had the build of a man who spent his youth playing football on the dusty fields of Elikahia, with broad shoulders and a laugh that echoed like thunder over the delta. They met when Ezine's presentation on AI-driven oil spill detection glitched, and Chike, seated in the front row, offered a quick fix from his seat. "You code like a wizard," he teased later over drinks at the Bogobiri House bar. But even wizards need backup. Their courtship was a whirlwind romance tailored to the city's rhythm. Late night drives along the Peter Odili Road, where the city lights danced on the water like fireflies. Picnics in the Port Harcourt tourist beach, dodging the occasional oil slick. Stolen kisses in the elevators of the Transcorp Hilton. Chike proposed on a chartered boat cruise down the Bonny River, the sunset painting the sky in hues of orange and purple as he knelt with a ring that sparkled like the oil flares in the distance. "Ezine, my heart, will you make me the happiest man in the Delta?" Tears in her eyes, she whispered yes, her voice lost in the hum of the boat's engine. Wedding preparations consumed them. Mama Nkechi, Ezine's widowed mother, a stern yet loving retired lecturer from the University of Port Harcourt, orchestrated the traditional aspects with military precision. "We must honor our Igbo roots," she insisted, selecting Aso Ebi fabrics in shimmering emerald and gold, patterns that evoked the lush mangroves surrounding the city. Caterers were hired for mountains of jollof rice, pounded yam, and a goosey soup laced with stockfish and periwinkles fresh from the creeks. Chike's family, affluent from generations in the oil trade, added luxury, imported champagne from France, a live band flying in from Abuja, and decorations that transformed St. Mary's Cathedral into a fairy tale, yet subtle. Cracks appeared in the facade of perfection. Ezina had always been prone to vivid nightmares, dreams where she was submerged in inky black waters, claws of unseen creatures dragging her down, voices hissing her name in ancient tongues. She woke sweating in her bed, the ceiling fan whirring uselessly against the humidity. It's just the stress, she'd tell herself, popping paracetamol and diving back into work. Cheek noticed her distractions during their dates at Javinic restaurant on Abba Road, where she'd push away her plate of goat meat pepper soup, staring into the distance as if listening to ghosts. Babe, talk to me, he'd urge, his hand warm on hers. Wedding jitters, she'd reply with a forced smile, though her heart raced with unexplained dread. The guest list ballooned. Colleagues from Shell and the Ministry of Works, cousins from as far as Enugu, even a few local politicians who owed Cheek's father favors from land deals in Elelenwo. Invitations were printed on embossed paper, scented with jasmine, promising a day of joy. But as the date approached, a bright Saturday in June, Ezine's anxiety mounted. She confided in her best friend Adaora over coffee at Cafe Neo in GRR Phase 3. I feel like something's watching me, Ada, like I'm not alone in my own skin. Adaora, a pragmatic accountant, laughed it off. You're just nervous about becoming Mrs. Nuoshu. It'll pass. The wedding day dawned with the city alive, horns blaring from Danfo buses on the east-west road, the scent of frying akara wafting from street corners. At the cathedral, arched ceilings echoed with hymns as Ezine walked the aisle, her veil trailing like a cloud. Cheek's eyes glistened with tears as he lifted it, whispering, "You're my everything." Vows exchanged rings on fingers. The kiss sealed it amid applause. The reception at the presidential hotel was a feast. Dancers in traditional attire, swirling to high life music, toast flowing, like the river. But as they cut the towering cake, 5 tiers of vanilla and red velvet, Ezine's hand trembled. A sharp pain lanced through her chest like a hot knife twisting. Her vision spotted black. Cheek, I can't breathe, she gasped, crumbling to the floor. Screams erupted. Guests scattered as paramedics from the nearby Braithwaite Memorial Specialist Hospital rushed in, but her pulse faded. Heart failure, the doctor pronounced later, shaking his head. Sudden, inexplicable. The city mourned. Obituaries in the Tide newspaper called it a tragedy. Chike shattered, punching walls in his apartment until his knuckles bled. Burial plans were made, the family plot in Rumokoro prepared. Then, 3 days later, in the chilled silence of the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital morgue, the unthinkable happened. The mortician, a grizzled man named Mr. Ease, was labeling toes when Ezine's body stirred. She sat up, gasping, her eyes flying open. "Water, please," she croaked. Mr. S screamed, dropping his clipboard, fleeing the room. Nurses rushed in, machines beeping wildly as they confirmed she was alive. Pulse strong, no signs of decay. News exploded across Port Harcourt. Radio stations like Cool FM buzzed with calls. Miracle or zombie? Social media ignited. Resurrected bride trending, videos of the morgue chaos going viral. Chike arrived, collapsing beside her bed, sobbing into her hands. "How? Why?" he whispered. Ezine, pale but alert, squeezed his fingers. "I don't know. It felt like drowning in darkness, but I fought back. Doctors ran tests, EKGs, MRIs, blood work. Nothing abnormal. A misdiagnosis," they muttered, embarrassed. But in Ezine's eyes, a new shadow lingered, a curiosity that gnawed at her soul. What had pulled her back? And why did the nightmares now feature a woman who looked just like her, dressed in colonial-era gowns, screaming in agony? The city whispered of curses, of Mami Wata, the mermaid goddess of the rivers, claiming her tribute for the oil that poisoned her domain. Others spoke of juju from jealous rivals. Ezine, discharged after a week, insisted on rescheduling the wedding. "We can't let fear win," she told Chike. though her voice wavered. He agreed, but sleep evaded him, his mind replaying her collapse like a looped video. As they planned anew, tension simmered. Ezene delved into family lore, questioning Mama Nkechi about ancestors. There was your great grandmother Nena, Mama said hesitantly. She disappeared on her wedding day in the 1950s. Some say she drowned in the river. Ezine's heart skipped. Coincidence? Or the first thread in a tapestry of doom? Recovery brought Ezine back to a semblance of normalcy, but Port Harcourt's gossip mills ground relentlessly. In the markets of Mile 1, women clocked tongues over baskets of yams. That Okoro girl, risen from the dead, Nawao, out of his water coolers in the central business district, colleagues eyed her return to Shell with a mix of awe and suspicion. Ezine threw herself into work, coding algorithms that predicted pipeline leaks, but her fingers trembled on the keyboard. The nightmares evolved. Now the drowning woman reached out, mouthing words Ezine couldn't hear. Chike, meanwhile, buried his fears in projects, overseeing the reconstruction of the Woji Bridge, where workers joked about ghosts in the mangroves. Their love, tested by fire, grew fiercer. Evenings were spent in quiet intimacy at their shared apartment in Ogra, cooking ofe ensala and watching Nollywood films on Netflix. We'll make it smaller this time, Chike suggested for the second wedding. Just us, family, close friends. Ezine nodded, but her smile didn't reach her eyes. They chose a private venue in Woji, a lush garden estate away from the city's prying eyes. Security was heightened, no uninvited guests. Adaora, now Ezine's matron of honor, pulled her aside during fittings at a boutique on Stadium Road. See a specialist. This isn't right. Ezine laughed it off. I'm fine. It's over. But was it? The rainy season arrived, turning streets into muddy rivers, mirroring Ezine's turbulent thoughts. On the eve of the wedding, she visited a small shrine in her family's compound in Rumomasi, offering kola nuts to the ancestors. Protect me, she prayed, the rain drumming on the tin roof like fingers tapping impatiently. The day broke with storms thundering over the delta. The chapel, a quaint colonial-era building, was adorned with palm fronds and orchids. Ezine, in a simpler lace gown, walked the aisle to Cheek's waiting arms. The priest's voice boomed, "Do you take this man?" "Yes." Rings exchanged. Kiss. Then, as they turned to face the applauding crowd, Ezine's throat tightened. A bitter taste flooded her mouth. Her limbs went numb. "Poison!" she wheezed, clutching Chike. He caught her as she fell, his screams cutting through the rain. Paramedics confirmed it later, traces of a rare toxin, perhaps from a contaminated drink. But how? The food had been tested. Burial rites began again, the family in mourning black. Chike refused to leave the body, sleeping on the hospital floor. On the second night in the morgue, Ezine stirred once more. This time, no scream from the attendant. He fainted outright. She awoke coughing, demanding answers. Tests again. Toxin gone, body pristine. Police from the Rivers State Command launched an investigation, questioning caterers, guests, even Chike's ex-girlfriend from university days. Nothing. Ezine, back home, pored over old family albums. A photo caught her eye. Her great-grandmother Nena, identical to her, in a white dress, eyes haunted. Curiosity ignited. She visited the Port Harcourt Cultural Center, digging through archives. Nena had been betrothed to a British oil executive in the 1950s, but he abandoned her for another. Rumors of poison, self-inflicted or foul play. Ezine's heart raced. Was history repeating? Cheek, torn between love and terror, held her close. We'll find out, together. But as they planned the third attempt, shadows lengthened. Whispers in the city spoke of a curse tied to the oil that cursed the land, polluted waters birthing vengeful spirits. Ezine's dreams now included voices. 6 times you must die to pay the debt. She woke screaming, Chike soothing her. Tension built like the storm clouds, curiosity a fire that wouldn't extinguish. Secrets unveiled. By now, Ezine was a legend in Port Harcourt. Tabloids like City People splashed her face on covers, the bride who won't stay dead. Social media groups dedicated to her miracles sprang up, with theories ranging from divine intervention to government experiments with oil byproducts. She quit Shell, they stares too much, and they moved to a quieter bungalow in Rumola, away from bustle of Abba Road. Chick's work suffered, projects delayed as he obsessed over protecting her. No more big events, he declared. For the third wedding, they selected a beachside resort on Bonny Island, a ferry ride from Port Harcourt's NLNG jetty. The island, with its ancient mangroves and oil terminals, felt isolated, perfect. Hired guards patrolled, food tasters sampled every dish. Ezine's research consumed her. She interviewed elders in her mother's village ties, learning of Nena's betrayal. The Britishman Reginald Harrington promised marriage but left for England, leaving Nena pregnant and shamed. She died of a broken heart, or so the story went. But whispers hinted at more. A curse invoked by Nena's mother, Adibia, binding the family to relive the pain until atonement. The wedding day was idyllic, waves lapping the shore, seagulls crying overhead. Ezine, in a flowing sundress, exchanged vows under a canopy of coconut palms. Chike's voice cracked with emotion. Forever, my love. Mid ceremony, a blinding headache struck. Blood trickled from her nose. She collapsed into the sand, body seizing. Aneurysm, the autopsy revealed. Brain bleed sudden and fatal. This time, revival came in the hospital, not morgue. Machines pulling her back after hours in coma. Chike, haggard, kissed her forehead. I thought I'd lost you for good. Ezine's quest deepened. Back in Port Harcourt, she rummaged through Mama Nkechi's attic, dust motes dancing in flashlight beams. There, a leather-bound diary, Nena's. Pages yellowed, ink faded, but words clear. He promised the world, but took my soul. The pain is endless, heart poisoned, mind shattered. 3 down, 3 to go. Ezine gasped. The deaths matched, heart failure, poison, aneurysm. Was she reliving Nena's fate? Chike read the diary, face paling. This is madness, we need help. They consulted Adibia in Alu, a village outskirts known for its spiritual healers. The old man, wrinkled as mangrove roots, threw cowries. The spirit demands 6 deaths, atonement or eternal cycle. But what atonement? He hinted at hidden truths in Harrington's lineage. Tension escalated, arguments flared. Chick skeptical of superstition, Ezine insistent. It's real, Chike, feel it in my bones. Their love strained but held. Planning the fourth, curiosity burned brighter than the oil flares light in the night sky. The city's bets on Ezine's survival hit the streets, bookies in Borikiri taking wagers. Will she die again? They opted for a civil ceremony at the Port Harcourt City Council building, bureaucratic and safe. No fanfare, just witnesses. Mama Nkechi prayed rosaries, her faith warring with ancestral beliefs. God will protect you, she said, though doubt creased her brow. As they signed the register, Ezine's skin itched, swelling rapidly. Allergy, she choked, hives blooming like fire, collapse. Death number 4, reaction to an unknown substance, perhaps in the ink or air. Revival in ICU, ventilators whirring. Chick confronted her. Tell me everything. Tears streamed as Ezine shared the diary. It's the past haunting us. Their embrace was fierce, bond reforged in shared pain. But here's a quick break in the tale. If you're gripped by this emotional roller coaster and want more twists that challenge your worldview, subscribe now. Share this story with a friend and tag them in the comments. You won't believe this Port Harcourt mystery. Back to the drama. Ezine sought a psychologist at the neuropsychiatric hospital in Rumigbo. Hypnotherapy sessions unearthed memories, not hers, but Nena's. Harrington's lies. The ritual curse. Chick dug into his family tree. Shock. His great-grandfather was Harrington's business partner, profiting from the betrayal. Guilt crashed over him. My blood is tainted too. Betrayals deepened the tension. A cousin confessed to sabotage attempts, jealous of their love. Police arrests followed, but the curse persisted. They vowed to break it, loved their weapon against the shadows. Rainy season floods turned Port Harcourt into a waterlogged maze, reflecting Ezine's flooded emotions. They holed up in a hotel in Transamadi, paparazzi at bay. Chike resigned, focusing on the mystery. Archives at the Rivers State Library revealed Harrington had 6 brides. Mistresses discarded, each dying mysteriously. 6 deaths, a pattern. For the fifth wedding, a rooftop venue in D-Line, city lights below. As rings slid on, a loose wire sparked, electrocution, body jerking in agony. Awakening, Ezina whispered, "One more, the sacrifice." Cheek broken, swore vengeance on the past. They traveled to Bonnie, Harrington's old estate in ruins. Ezine hallucinated Nena, atonement through truth. Emotional turmoil peaked, Cheek's confessions of doubt, Ezine's fears of losing him. Historians at Uniport unpack the tale, Harrington's exploitation, the Dibia's curse binding descendants. As Zina realized her lineage from Nena, Chike from Harrington, their love, a cosmic joke or salvation. Paranormal events, poltergeists in their home, whispers in the night. They gathered ritual items from Ogbogoro markets, herbs, shells, blood of a white cock, tension like a taut wire, curiosity a relentless drive. The Dibia guided them, a ceremony at the riverbank, offering apologies to the spirits. Emotional scenes, forgiveness rituals, tears mingling with rain, philosophical depths, colonial legacies, oil's curse on Nigeria, pain inherited, visions plagued Ezine, the 6 deaths as cycles, betrayal to sacrifice. Chick's family rejected him, isolation fueled drama, preparations for the sixth, words, prayers, lovers, armor, storms raged, friends gathered, but betrayal lurked. Ezine wrote letters, heart wrenching goodbyes, curiosity at fever pitch. What was the reason? Back to St. Mary's, vows amid tension, pain struck, sacrifice, blood from a wound. In the void, Ezin confronted Nena, atonement granted, awake, curse broken. But the reason? A genetic condition, long QT syndrome, triggered by stress, manifesting as deaths, amplified by psychosomatic curse belief. Science meets spirit, inherited trauma, healing, therapy, advocacy against oil pollution. Community embraces them, love triumphs. Years later, with kids, they reflect. Reason leaves thinking. Cycles of pain in life. Break them with truth. What cycles trap you?